So everything is pixely. And moving everything around. Huh. This looks awkward. Do I look pixely to everybody? This looks very, very strange. Hi, Nick. Welcome back to Twin Peaks time. I wonder... Melinda made it. Yes. Guys, am I pixely? Because I see myself super pixely. I don't know. Do you see me? No, very clear? Okay, good. Joseph. Hi, Joseph. All right, guys. So, listen, let's get straight to it. In the title, you can see Kafka, right? Franz Kafka. So it dawned on me, one of those, enlightenments. Hey, Debbie, welcome back, sweetie. Nick says I interrupted his typing of his new script, but that's okay. Nick forgives us. Thanks, Nick. So listen. You know that Gordon Cole in his office in Twin Peaks, The Return, 2017. I guess at this point I gotta say spoiler alerts for who hasn't seen season 3, but I'm not gonna reveal any major plot lines. It's just the aesthetics, right? So you have been warned nevertheless. Spoilers, right? So Gordon Cole has like an image of Kafka, of Franz Kafka in his office. And, and I've been thinking, okay, well, yeah, we know that Lynch is fond of Franz Kafka and his books. But more than that, I underestimated something. I underestimated the fondness of Lynch for cinema. Now, we do know, Sunset Boulevard is plastered in our face. There's a character called Gordon Cole in Sunset Boulevard, and we have that on a TV as Dougie is kind of getting ready to electrocute himself. So there's references to movies, but there's also references to movies indirectly. So when I saw the image of Kafka, I was like, yes, of course, we know Lynch loves Kafka. But it's not just that. And you know that also, Kafka has that kind of cockroach character in his book, and obviously we have that kind of cockroach-looking frog moth appear in episode 8. So there's a lot of references directly and indirectly to Kafka. But more than that, and here I'm getting to the point, it's Orson Welles. And I just rewatched, so for Halloween, my Halloween movie was The Trial. God, I love that movie so much. And I finally got my claws on a Blu-ray. Wonderful, wonderful remastered version. You could see every detail. And it dawned on me, of course Lynch loves movies and he's inspired by Orson Welles. I mean, who isn't? Orson Welles is incredible. He's just incredible. And I thought to myself, The Trial. So The Trial begins, for those of you who have not seen The Trial, so here's another spoiler alert for The Trial. It's a dream. Orson Welles tells us it's a dream, or rather a nightmare. So be prepared to see the structure of this movie as such. And it's in black and white. So for the occasion, are we going to do... I don't even think I have. I have? There you have it. Well, this is the silver screen old school style, but let's see if we could get a... No, there is no black, and there's documentary. Silver screen. All right, let's do a little bit of black and white here while we're talking about The Trial. Yes, Debbie, Metamorphosis, that's the cockroach book. So, in The Trial, so much of Twin Peaks is in it. First of all, the fact, a lot of, we've all been so upset. Oh, Twin Peaks, The Return, 2017, season 3, call it whatever you want to. It hasn't ended. There's no real end to it. Well, Kafka didn't finish most of his books, and actually Kafka wanted, after his death, his friend or friends to burn all of his. He didn't even want his books to be published. But the books are, most of them, unfinished. Interesting. Orson Welles ended The Trial differently than the book finishes it, for several reasons, also political reasons. So that's another element to it. We have a reference in episode 8 to The Trial because Orson Welles changes the end of the book because, again, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, The Trial, instead of Kafka acted by Perkins, nobody less than Mr. Psycho himself. And here we have Hitchcock coming in to play because Perkins just finished acting Psycho The Psycho was released like 2 years prior or 3 years prior to the trial. So he was on top of the world at that moment. But anyway, so we have the Hitchcock connection as well. We know how Lynch loves his Hitchcock as well. So instead of Kay, the character Kay, being stabbed to death or allowing them to stab him at the end of the book, there's an explosion that resembles the nuclear explosion in the nuclear mushroom. Very fascinating. The black and white scenes of the dream. The entire movie is a dream. 3 characters standing in rooms looking at Kay. You know, very Candy, Mandy, Sandy, what are their names? There's a lot of this, just kind of 3 characters just standing in a room looking, not talking. A lot of Red Room sequences were inspired by many shots taken from the trial. And and to understand The Return even better, Twin Peaks: The Return, you need to watch the trial. And Debbie calls them the fembots. Yes, the fembots. You need to watch, seriously, you need to watch the trial. It's just such an eye-opener, and it's just so beautiful. And I just watched it a couple of hours ago, and I have to see it all over again because it's just so beautiful. I have a Blu-ray edition of it, and I'm looking at the booklet. Anthony Perkins is just so incredible. Jeanne Moreau, my God, she's so incredible too. Romy Schneider is in the movie as well. The shots, everything. And I see this surrealism in Lynch as well. Sarah says, I adore Kafka, and I can see how Lynch was inspired by him. The Trial is a great surrealist story, and I love Perkins' take on Joseph K. Ironically, our own Agent Cooper plays him in the 1993 remake. Very good point. Not just that. Notice how Lynch implements comedy, funny moments in Twin Peaks. We have a lot of funny moments in Twin Peaks, even though we're talking about tragedy. I mean, there's even a child being murdered brutally without any remorse. It's a tragic tale, and yet there's comedy. And I was just reading in the little booklet that comes with this Gidget here. What does it say? It says that so one of the friends of Kafka would write in a book on Kafka later on. I'm trying to find the quote here. I can't find it. But basically he said, the funny thing is, as Kafka was reading to his friends for the first time the first chapter of The Trial, he was laughing his pants off. He was being himself. He could not finish certain sentences. He wanted this to be funny, even though it's so tragic. That's what Twin Peaks is as well. That's where Kafka comes into play in Twin Peaks as well. To understand it better, we need to know that as well. Plus, The Trial is so beautiful. Just, it's food for the eyes, and everybody has copied Orson Welles. I mean, from the most banal, superficial things like Britney Spears and Madonna, Me Against the Music video clip where they're running through the corridor of woods with light penetrating on the sides of this kind of corridor that looks like a prison or a cage made of wooden bars. That's taken from The Trial. The close-up scene, Orson Welles opens with Anthony Perkins kind of upside down, laying down. Nobody has ever done that before. That Orson Welles was the first to do it, And then they copied him after that. Touch of Evil, another Orson Welles masterpiece, with Janet Leigh, this kind of shower situation. Guess what Hitchcock did for Psycho? There's a Janet Leigh in the bathtub. It's a shower. It's, they all reference each other in some way. But in particular, The Trial is really one of those keys to unlock Twin Peaks. I do believe so. And, there's so many questions asked. And Kay keeps asking, but why am I under trial? What is going on? What am I suspected of? What are you accusing me of? But he gets no answers. we get no answers in Twin Peaks, really. We keep on asking questions. I felt like Kay watching, as the season unfolds. But now let's go back to another effect because the trial is over. Let's go to the dream. Here we are. Now we're in the dream world. That was the trial. If I get more thoughts on that, I'm going to share them with you. But let me show you a couple of things. I got this voucher from somebody very special. Anyway, I digress. Trippy. Glitter Gypsies is trippy. Very trippy. Look how durable this little thing is. It is a tiny tin container from the Red Room, the Black Lodge, and it is a mini tin tote with a deck of playing cards. Wait, Todd says, Kay's Choice is one of my favorite brands of all time. The singer Sarah Bettens is amazing. Amelia loves it. So cute. If you see, hey, Dacob, it's Ruth. Ah, Ruth, how you doing, Ruth, sweetie? Oh, Ruth and I go a long way. Miss you, girl. I hope to see you soon again. Todd says, go read up. Read up. Read up? Guys, okay, listen. First of all, I have to open up this little thing and show you. In everything that's tin related or tin boxes or metal, I always put these little things to kind of absorb humidity. I'm doing an unboxing here with you. Look at this deck of cards. This is freaking amazing. Oh, okay, Todd is saying, the band, Kay's Choice from Belgium, who had a few modern rock hits in the late 90s, got their name from that movie, I think. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for the info, Todd. Look, guys, no, seriously. Now, this is tacky, right? The actual cards, I would have loved to have, like, drawn characters from Twin Peaks. But I'm opening this up with you together. You know how I love to open these things up with you. So let's review this deck of cards. This is just so beautiful. The artwork on the back of the cards is amazing. But let's see how the actual deck of cards is when it comes to all the characters and what have you. So the quality, let's go to regular quality here so you could kind of see as good as possible. Okay, well, this one, wow, this is the most Lynch card ever. Can anybody guess what's behind this card? I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm not going to flip it. Come on, guys, this is so Lynch. I'm living for this moment. I was shocked when I saw what's behind this card. Any guesses? What's the sign behind the first card? And what would Lynch put? What would be a typical Lynch thing to put? Think, guys. Okay, Nick is like ... Anybody else? Jan says an owl. Nick says a cow. No. You got to think even more abstract. We're thinking art right now. We're not thinking like, aha, clever. We're thinking, oh my God, mind blown. Well, I'm mind blown, but then, you know, whatever that means. All right, nobody's guessing. Should I flips it? Shocking. Look at this. The first card. It's empty. Totally freaking empty. I mean, shooketh. Scott says LOL. I know, right? It's like the card of absence. Anyway, moving on to the others. Okay, so we got the Joker in color. This one is spooky. Then we have the same Joker in black and white, just outlined. Debbie says Showtime and Hot Topic won $30 to ship a t-shirt to me. That's insane. And then let's see. Well, these are like relatively boring. Could you imagine if they had like... Wait, let me see. No, look. So this is nothing special. Audrey Horne as the Queen of Hearts would have been amazing. But we don't have... So it's a deck of cards. Really boring. No special design. But it doesn't matter because the back pays for it. I mean, this is amazing. Don't you guys agree? Owl Cave symbol or Judy at this point. This might be Judy for all we know. We thought in the 90s that it was an owl. Now we think it's Judy. Who knows what we're going to think in another 20 years. Anyway, so this thing, really cool. Just a cute little thing. And my favorite card is this one. The empty one. The one that can be anything you want it to be. In the little tin box. So that's one of those really cute little things I got with this voucher. It should fit perfectly in this little box. Container, little tin container. There you have it. All right. And then you close it like that. And what does it say here? Trademark, 2017 Twin Peaks Productions. Twin Peaks, the trademark, Twin Peaks, blah, 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 blah. Copyright Showtime Networks, Incorporate. And then they have this kind of logo for all of their products. Scott says that's cool. Yeah, it's a cute little gadget, no? I wish they had like 2 decks of cards because I know a lot of games that I like to play with 2 decks of cards. So it has the same logo on both sides. This is a little tag that hangs on in front. Then I finally got this little thing, also with this voucher. So obviously we love our Log Lady, we love our Bob, we love our Laura, even though her as a Funko, chubby little Funko Pop is more adorable than this version of her. And then we got Cooper, who looks like some sort of G.I. Joe figure that went a bit wrong. Bob, I think, is the best looking. Like, he really looks like himself. Now it's giving me very bad connection. So I should be worried about this. Because I'm supposed to be having better internet, but it's giving me a bad connection. Let me see. I hope this thing... Can you guys see me well, or is it an issue? I hope we're doing well. Well, let me know if there's complications. It's glitchy. It's fine. Okay, somebody says it's glitchy. Somebody says it's fine. It's fine. A little pixely, not too bad. Okay, okay. Well, all right. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going down with this internet. So this is the back of the box, right? I like that they have this little metallic details going on. That's the bottom with all our texts. These are made in China. And then we got really bad quality on top here. Not only is my image pixely, but the print here, look at all those, you probably can't see, but very, very bad, very bad print of, it's like the floor of the red room. These are not straight lines. They're totally pixely. It's a mess, like really bad quality there. But the rest of the print is amazing. Like the back is impeccable. Like every print is perfect with this kind of slight elevated, embossed kind of metallic green. It all works very well. So it just comes taped in a really cheap tape on the side. So we're going to open that. How are we going to open that? I would need a knife or something. Do I have anything near? No, I have nothing near. Okay, so I'm going to just try to unglue it, which is probably going to ruin the packaging. I'm such a master at ruining these things. But let's just like take the tape off. And let's see how that kind of works in my favor or not. Oh, okay, it opened up. All right, so now I'm gonna, so there you have it. I managed to kind of not damage it, or at least I think I didn't damage it. I'm gonna need to magically make a knife appear. Listen, we're in a magic zone right now, basically. So, okay, so let me show you. I mean, for those of you who want to know, who care, like usually, you see when Debbie says, I got the Funkos and the 2 DVDs with extras. What do you mean the 2 DVDs with extras? From what DVDs? Which DVDs? Let me know. Like what? Is there like a new DVD out? I mean, because like season 3 isn't out yet. But anyway, so if there's a a carton box closing that has this little kind of cut on the side. I would just put a knife in. Well, let's close it properly. Okay, let's open it from this side so you can see. To like kind of not damage the box. It helps to have a knife, but now this was open already, so whatever. Hard to sort, but I usually do it with a knife. Okay, so let's pull them out and let's see how they do what they got to do. They have to be toys. Right? Toys will be toys. Okay, so sturdy packaging here. This one is wobbly as heck. This is kind of sturdy. So we have the Owl Cave print here, the map of Twin Peaks, you know. We got Glastonbury Grove. Well, we have, yeah, we have the sycamore trees here. We got, well, what we thought was the giant, and then we have Little Man from Another Place, or we think that's what he is. I wonder if Judy is here somewhere to be seen. So this is kind of cool, the background. And then these are the toys. Laura. Let me see, is she glued, or can we just... No, we can just pop her out. Cooper just committed suicide. Okay, so this is Laura with a horrible print in the back, like embossed says, you know, Funko, blah, blah, copyright, made in China. All over the place there. There she is, and they literally mummified her body inside of translucent plastic, so you can see the body underneath there. I don't remember there being so much blood in the actual TV show when she's kind of laying down. So this does look a little bit, I mean, her face is meh. Bit off. I know, I mean, I could recognize Laura kind of if I wanted to, but I think the Funko, you know, the Funko Pop version Laura wrapped in plastic is so much cuter. So let's see Dale Cooper, who fainted, tried to commit suicide, fell down. Okay, so he can move his head. He can move his arm up. He has this joint and that. And here as well. The actual arm here doesn't swivel or turn. Legs move and they bend. Both of them. And there he goes. And off he goes. And he comes with, like, I'm not going to take this out right now. This is like all glued. Like his little dictaphone or his little, you know, cassette recorder. He talks to Diane and a little cup of coffee with the coffee inside. Now we come to Bob. I think they did an amazing job with Bob. Bob really looks like Bob. Doesn't he, guys? Like, there's no... Like, this is obviously Bob. Look at that. Don't you agree? He is really Bob. Sarah says, it's cool how the arms and legs bend at the joints like that. Amazing detail on the Bob figurine too. Yeah, and Debbie says it's a good Bob. He's very, very well executed, I have to say, guys. This is the back of his jeans jacket. And the hair. I mean, the hair, of course, is a bit longer in the show, but it's fine. I don't really... I think they did him justice. You know? Bob is sitting. An imaginary chair. You know, he's in a train and off he goes. So the last one is the log lady with the log. We're going to leave the log there. I lose these little pieces. I'm just going to leave them glued. It's there for now. But let's take her out, shall we? And see what the log lady is all about. Okay, a lot of detail here as well. She seems to be a bit more fragile. I'm looking under her skirt. Not for reasons that might seem sick now. I just want to see if she can like bend her leg. Okay, well, so here. So she has this knee joint there, even though she can't really move much because this is kind of soft, bendy plastic, but it is what it is. It's the same outfit she has as her Funko Pop counterpart. She can swivel and turn and bend her head. Like, she has a very good articulation right there on the neck area. One arm, the other arm. Look at that. You could swivel this and bend it as well. There you have it. That is the log lady, and the glasses are glued. Actually, her glasses are part of her hair. So the glasses are part of the hair, and the glasses with the hair are glued onto the head. So it's not like the glasses are a third piece of plastic that's been attached to the head. And her shoes, and then she has her arms kind of open, probably to hold the log, obviously. She has a lot of details. She even has rings on, which is kind of hard to see, I guess. I have to block off the light for you to see the rings. So that's the log lady. May she rest in peace. Also, may Frank Silva rest in peace, our Bob. So that's that. Moving on, these tin lunch boxes. I am in love with these. So I just want to show you guys if you're interested in them. I might prepare like a link to Amazon with these products if you want to get them yourselves. But so you have the images basically. Snoqualmie Falls. Here we have the famous street light. We have the sheriff's department or office, and we have, well, we don't really, it's not really the how do you call it, the sawmill, the 90s version though, in its splendor. Todd says the new Dale Red Room bobblehead is out too. Oh yeah, that's cool. Melinda says musket lunchbox and cards. Yes, this one is really beautiful, and it has a slightly faded look to the front, and it's beautiful, you know, Twin Peaks green on the side, and then the back of it is also, well, the front, this is the front, because you open it here, and then the back is the same. This is what you have at the bottom. To note, you see this looks like little bubbles of air on the zigzag floor of the Red Room. These are not mistakes. They're only on this part of the floor. They're meant to be like kind of aged and withered. You see what I mean? This is all intentional. Because everywhere else, of course, my fingerprints everywhere else, but like you do not have that effect anywhere else. It's just on the floor. So don't think that that's a flaw. It's supposed to be that way. And then when you open it up, it's just very simple on the inside. I mean, I have, you know, these little, I've used this already. I have these little, I keep these bags, you know, against humidity to kind of keep the inside dry, because these tin boxes, they really tend to rust very easily. Yeah, Debbie says like an old school lunchbox. It really is. And then there's a second version of this one. Here, the Double R Diner. Now, this one is a bit more tacky because, you know, you could see that the image has been a bit stretched in Photoshop. It looks to me a little bit stretched. Maybe it's not. I would have to compare it with an actual still from the show. But yeah. And then you got a cup of coffee on the side. You have the logo at the bottom. And you got cherry pie on this end. And you got Twin Peaks logo for the official merch on top. So we got the double R like that, and the same image on the back. And very simple tin lunchbox opening here, and you lift it, and that's what you get on the inside. I really like that the patterns kind of repeat on the inside as they twirl the tin inwards. So that's a kind of really cute detail. Also on the lid. Twin Peaks extravaganza of some sort, if you wish. So I I recommend you to watch. I've seen it a couple of days ago. What did I just? Oh, I forgot to show you this. The mug. A damn good cup of coffee. Is it really worth it? I don't know, because it's not. It doesn't have the shape of the one from the Double R Diner, because it's kind of a bit more curvy and it's just outlined with a double R. But it's official merch again. It's a mug. What can you do? This should have been bigger. Like you can barely put 2 fingers in there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a sucker for all this merch, so just whatever. Lynch got me. What can I tell you guys? But so right, so Sarah Palmer, Grace Zabriskie interview podcast. I'm gonna put a link down below as soon as I go check it, because I'm not prepared right now. Who did it? The Doomed and the name of the podcast. If anybody knows, I'm sure Nick knows. Nick, could you post it, please? So like, do them justice. Wonderful interview with Grace Zabriskie. I mean, the guy was interviewing her, he was a little bit confusional in the beginning, because she was, she needs precise questions, and I had the feeling he was afraid of asking precise questions because maybe he thought that she wouldn't give him precise answers. So there's a lot was happening that was kind of like he was going around, circling around. I had the feeling, at least in the beginning, he was circling around the questions, and she would have to often in the beginning especially repeat to him, like, what do you want to know? Like, say what you want to know. What is it that you want to know? She was really cool. And then when he did ask specific questions, and sometimes she even, I had the feeling, had to help him to get to the point with the question, she would be very direct. Grace would say it as it is. So spoiler alert right now, for those of you who haven't seen that interview or haven't heard it, because it's a podcast, even though it's on YouTube, you could see it on YouTube, but it's a podcast. So you don't really see her talking, you just hear her talking. It's interesting if you're interested in stuff like this. I really was. She's very open about when Hawk comes to her house. She opens the door and he's like, is everything okay, Sarah? And then we hear something in the kitchen, right? She's very open about what she thinks is going down. And it's a very important bit of information. It just confirms what I actually already thought and suspected, because, I mean, right after we saw that episode and we did our live chat stream right after the episode aired, we spoke about it already, and Grace Zabriskie literally confirms the theory. She's like, the guy interviewing her was like, so what was going on in the kitchen? Can you tell us? And Grace is so cool. She's like, well, what do you think? Come on. I mean, seriously, nothing good was going down in that kitchen. I love how she said that, She's like, nothing good went down in that kitchen. And so she is telling us that there is evil in that kitchen. And she told us in the podcast that there is so much pain in her, loneliness. And when Hawk arrived, her like talking through the teeth, it's like a damn fine story, Hawk, in it, or something like that. I can't quote her correctly. Grace said that was Sarah's cry for help. She was telling him, yeah, it's all fine. It's all fine. Nothing is fine. And she felt a little bit let down by Hawk, that he didn't insist, that he was just playing this card of like society, and we were expecting more from Hawk. But I have to say, I was expecting more from Hawk in many different instances throughout season 3, and it didn't happen. And she was expecting from him to like insist and help, but instead he didn't. Instead he played the card of society, and he was like, okay, I'm going to look away and I'm going to go. And he left her alone, and she needed help, and he didn't help. And when Grace said that, my heart broke, because it's what I suspected. And yeah, when she said it, it's just like all of a sudden you're like, ugh, painful. That's the world, but that's the world we live in. And then there were questions asked also about the scene in the bar, and when she kind of opens her face, and then there's that darkness inside of her. She did mention, what I understood. She did mention that it was definitely it's. She didn't say, oh, Judy is in her, but she did say that the loneliness and being alone and isolated and going through all the pain that she went through in her life, and especially, with Leland and Laura dying, that made her susceptible to certain evils and to certain sort of pains, to kind of, she almost in a way attracted them, and they came into her in a way. But it's also an abstract representation of the pain and solitude and isolation that she's going through. She did not give us any answers about whether or not she was the little girl from episode or part 8. So we do not know much about that still. Marco says, I thought she had to suffer the worst pain. Only the one who suffered it could be the Judy's vehicle. Possibly. But it's all possible. It's really all possible. And I mean, even if a lot of people that watched Twin Peaks The Return or Season 3 or Twin Peaks The Limited Event Series don't like to think that most of it was inside of Cooper's head while he's in the Black Lodge, kind of in his dream state while he's battling his evil shadow self. When we talk about dreams within the Lynch universe, it's not necessarily just to be considered a one-to-one dream state scenario where we are sleeping and there's a dream happening in our subconscious mind or self. But we're also talking about representation of images and a flow of images and stories as if they had a dream-like logic. So there's different layers of dreams to be taken in consideration, I think, when we watch Twin Peaks. So one of them being, yes, this simplistic way of visualizing or viewing a dream, which is we sleep, and when we sleep, we dream. And when we wake up, sometimes we remember the dream, sometimes we don't. But then there's a second layer of dream, which is a kind of technique of filmmaking and editing to abstract reality in a way to make it look slightly off all the time. That it disorientates you. It creates, and this lack of orientation can be called a dreamlike state. So let's go to the dreamlike state. This lack of orientation and dizziness can be called a dreamlike state, and that is something very, very fascinating within Twin Peaks. And again, this is where Lynch takes from Orson Welles, especially from the trial. When we have the fembots, Sandy Mandy Candy or Cindy Mindy Kindy or whatever you want to call them. The three of them, just imagine, visualize it, guys, in your head. Like, why do we remember this image of the three of them leaning against the wall and, in the security room of the casino of the Mustang, silver Mustang? They're just leaning on the wall, moving slowly. One of them is like looking at her hand, slowly moving the head, doing something. In the trial, in Orson Welles' The Trial, we have three characters often just standing in the room looking at the main character. And they don't say anything. They don't do anything. But they just burn themselves into your mind because there is fear there. There is something subconsciously present. You visualize these three characters. You've never been in a situation like that, but you have the feeling that you remember them from somewhere. And that's what induces this kind of dreamlike state while viewing, in particular, Twin Peaks. But let me get back to the trial. And if we're to the trial, we're going to go back to the silver screen. I forgot to mention one important scene of the trial. One of the scariest things, and this is 1-to-1 Twin Peaks season 1 or season 2. One of these lawyers or prosecutors are literally on the top are right under the ceiling in the trial. The movie's in black and white, hence a little filter here. He's under the ceiling of this huge, what we think is a house building hotel. I mean, it was shot in a Hotel X train station in Paris, but we do, of course, in the movie, it's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be something else. It's this huge building of justice, you could call it that way. And you see from a distance, it's a very long perspective, kind of corridor state of a wooden plank that goes right under the ceiling. And the ceiling kind of has glass, so there's like light coming from the ceiling. And you have this black creature almost. You see that it's human, but he's kind of crawling. He's like down like this. And he's crawling almost towards the camera, straight towards the camera. And he's walking just the same exact way Bob does when he's when he pokes from behind the sofa, steps on top of the sofa and kind of crawls towards the camera. Towards Maddie, if I remember correctly. Was that in Donna's house? Whether or not Lynch took that one-to-one from the trial, from Orson Welles, consciously, is debatable. Subconsciously, it definitely anchored. This is what I mean about like induced dreamlike states, in particular in film. Lynch saw the trial. The trial came out in the 60s. That movie, he must have seen it when he was a kid or teenager growing up or as a grown-up. And an image like that, dreamlike, crawling towards the camera, anchors itself deep inside your subconscious mind. It's scary because it's a human being that walks in a weird, almost animal-like way towards the camera. So that's already an abstraction. And yet he's dressed in kind of everyday clothes. But the attitude is way different and it's total silence. There's no like talking, you know? So there's like absence of communication with you. And yet he's walking straight towards the camera. He's walking towards us, towards the viewer. It kind of like you have the feeling it's going to grab you by the neck and it's going to be over soon. Very scary. And that is something that anchors itself into your mind. And I'm sure it did also into Lynch's. And Bob kind of appearing from behind the sofa and kind of going towards the camera, you know, more and more and more and more and more like that, is literally taken one-to-one from the trial, from that particular scene. And so whether or not people wish to believe or not to believe that Cooper was dreaming most of season 3, it doesn't matter. It's still all a dream. Not maybe his dream. My theory is part of it is his battling his own soul for the good or the bad. But it is definitely a dream state in which we, the viewers, find ourselves in. And that's what makes it so beautiful. And that's also what makes it so easy to just let go. You are floating inside of this dream. And there's many possible different outcomes. Many, many, many different ones. Many possible endings or non-endings. Most of the dreams we dream, we don't really end them. We wake up before they come to an end. We abruptly wake up if it's a nightmare and we've reached a point where we're so scared or so petrified that we can't anymore, and then we wake up. Or it's a wonderful dream that's maybe too good to be true, and then something happens within the dream that blocks us from having that pure pleasure, and then you wake up because it's too good to be true. And sometimes you wake up because it's too bad to be true. So now let's wake up. Boom. So, yes, does anybody have any like comments? I see you've become all very silent. Am I even online? Jamel Belmissou says, quel plaisir de vous écouter. I think that means in French, pleasure to listen to you. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. Marco says, I think you're right. It is a dream. What if we try to give an interpretation? Oh, yes. That's the most beautiful thing about a dream. You know, there are books written on interpretations on dreams, symbolisms of dreams. What do dreams mean? How to interpret a symbol of a dream that you've just had. It is not forbidden. It is actually very stimulating to the mind and the spirit to try to give interpretations to the dream, because at the end of the day, these dreamlike scenarios within Twin Peaks, especially season 3, they influence us. Debbie says she has some of those dream analytical books, and Melinda too. What I wanted to say is these scenes, these dreamlike scenes from Twin Peaks, they influence us in a way, our subconscious. They tickle us, they give us, they either wake up inside of us a memory of something that we're not really clear about, but we have the feeling we know it. But they could also activate or trigger a state in which we feel inspired. And that inspiration equals creation and creativity. And the second you become creative in any way, you start imagining things. And that's a beautiful place to be in. And that's why I always laugh and I cringe at all those people that like kind of are so critical in their comments saying, don't think that's not the way it's supposed to be. Stop limiting yourself. There is no way it's supposed to be. The only way it's supposed to be is what it makes you feel. And I wonder, and I keep asking myself, why are we so afraid to feel things? Everybody always wants to have a mathematical explanation to the world. Well, guess what? That ain't reality. Reality isn't all mathematical. Math is a philosophy. We've given it the logic it has because we decided to. That's all it is. But feelings are different. They're not mathematical. They follow different rules, different patterns, and they're different. And that's the beauty of it. Feelings are different for each and every one of us. And I find it so amazing. And that's why I cannot watch other TV shows and really enjoy them as much as Twin Peaks, because Twin Peaks goes so deep, because it gives me so much stimulation to go and create my own stuff. And I thank David and Mark for that, because they literally show you the way. They just say, this is a fertile soil for creativity. Debbie says, yeah, because 1 + 1 has to equal 2 for many. Yes, I know, and it makes no sense. It doesn't, 1 + 1 doesn't have to equal 2. Melinda says, I live within an abstract world. I do too, and let me tell you something. I would live in my abstract world any day, any day, rather than living in a concrete world that somebody wishes to press me into living in, And I love to read all the theories on Twin Peaks that each and every person has that goes through that journey of Twin Peaks and then comes out on the other end. It's kind of a cathartic moment. You come out transformed. And that transformation enshrines within it an idea that you build in your mind and in your spirit about what the season is about, where the story is going to, what it all means, why did certain things happen, why did certain things not happen, why were certain things explained, why were certain things not explained, why were certain topics not even touched base upon, and so on and so forth. Twin Peaks is a magical place to be. Not everybody can understand it, also because not everybody has really the time to just fall into it. We live in very quick times, the attention span of a fruit fly, I say always, and not everybody really wishes to dedicate their time to this show. But trust you me, if you do dedicate your time to it, if you do invest time in it, so much will come back at you, so much. And that's when you will realize that a lot of the other shows are so superficial out there, they're so predictable, most of the other shows out there are literally, like Debbie said, that math, 1 + 1 = 2 for many. That's what most television, movies, shows, politics, everything is nowadays. But Twin Peaks is different. 1 + 1 does not equal 2 in Twin Peaks. Not necessarily. It can, but it doesn't have to. And it's fine either way. Anyway, Debbie says, that is why it is hard to find someone to watch it with. Yes, I know. Very hard. Very hard. People just don't have the patience, and it's so funny. I have friends of mine, sometimes if we go out to dinner or something, they're like, Dacob, we gave up on Twin Peaks after, I don't know, season 3, episode 5, 8, 10, whatever. And I'm like, no, guys, give it time, And it's so funny, one of my friends, so she was like, yeah, usually after, 20 minutes, I would like stand up, go to the kitchen, make a sandwich. I'm like, yeah, but you, she's like, yeah, because like nothing is happening. I'm like, that's not true. That everything is happening. And I used to write notes as I was watching the episodes, and I would have to rewind tidbits constantly because I would look down just for a second to write a sentence, and I look up and I miss so much. And I'm like, you cannot go to the kitchen for 20 minutes to make a sandwich and think you're not missing out on anything. You have the impression you're missing out on something, that things are moving much slower, that nothing is happening, when indeed everything is happening. So much happens. There's so much attention to detail. You cannot ever look away from the screen for a second when you're watching Twin Peaks. You just can't, because there's, and it's such a paradox, you know what I mean? It's so fascinating because people say, oh, it moves so slow, and yet it is so rich of information. And information, because maybe people are used to, what do you understand under information? Like, does the plot line have to really jump drastically for me to think that it's moving on? No, for me, information can mean a lot of things. It can also mean just a particular movement of the head, in this direction or that direction, because it means something. Nothing was given to chance here. Everything is very, very, very structured. You could feel the tempo, the rhythm. You could feel how everything has been paced to this dream tact and tempo. And it's, I mean, I get hypnotized each and every time, guys. Melinda says it's fun to keep rewatching Twin Peaks too. You get different views and perspectives each time. I totally agree. Marco says that's precisely the point. Art is slow. Yes, and yet it's not slow. Like, it's slow to the standards of today's society, but when you're flowing inside of it, it's not slow. Because when you're flowing inside of that art, you realize there is no time. Is it the future? Is it the past? All these questions really ask us, like, you really want to know the time? There is no time barrier here. And once you're flowing, it's like a flux, and it keeps going, and it's just so beautiful, and you lose track of time. That's what really good art is, at least to me it is. Andrea Ciccone says, like in jazz music, in Twin Peaks, also the silence is very, very important. Oh, so important. I totally agree with you. And Melinda agrees with Andrea as well. Oh my God, another 52 minutes. What was I blabbering about? Did you see what I mean? Time just stops. Or does it? But yeah, this would be it, guys. I'm looking forward to receiving, finally, it's a bit late, in my neck of the woods, my pre-ordered book, The Secret Lives of Twin Peaks. Oh no, The Final Dossier, sorry. It was used to, well, I have here The Secret History of Twin Peaks. It was supposed to be entitled The Secret Lives of Twin Peaks, but then they changed the title, I guess, because they decided to do 2 books instead of 1 to hide a bit more topics before season 3 hit us back in May, but also, well, why not, to earn Mark Frost a bit more dough by publishing 2 books instead of 1. All fine with me. But so I'm going to be reviewing that book as soon as I read it myself. So let's look forward to that. And I'm digging deeper and deeper into a lot of wonderful, beautiful old school movies. Old school movies, that's a stupid word, old school. Classic movies, masterpieces of cinema from, Orson Welles, John Cassavetes, Alfred Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick, just to name a few, Truffaut, Godard. There's a couple that I'm kind of like, the second I have a moment's time, I watch one of them, and they just like, food for the soul. And I kind of discover little tidbits. So the more we go on, the more I'm going to kind of deliver these tidbits to you too. So we have constantly new topics to talk about and share in regards to Twin Peaks together. So I hope you've liked this video. If you have, please do thumb it up. Show me the love. Show me the thumb it if you like the video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All spelled Super Dacob together. All spelled together. Super Dacob spelled together. Oh, losing it. Yes. So this was a wonderful time. I'm so happy to be back again. And Melinda says, best of everything. Great. The best of everything is always the best of everything. And there's one wonderful thing, a very special intelligent person said to me, that I will share here. I cannot say who it was just yet, but I will soon. There is no evolution in art. What is perfect is already perfect. You cannot evolve there. That's a very interesting quote, and it goes much deeper than just the surface that I just mentioned now. But let's end it there. There is no evolution in art. There you have it, guys. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. We got to keep Twin Peaks alive. And yes, I believe more than ever that season 4 is on the way. Love you all. Take care. See you soon. Let's end with a dream. Bye-bye.